We all love to use these, don't we? Or whatever that looks like in your country. So let's talk about green energy today, something many of you are keen on, as am I. And let's talk specifically about wind energy. That's electricity generated by wind and wind turbines. That's turbine, or giant windmills. The UK is pretty good at wind energy. We have wind turbines offshore, that means in the sea, onshore, that means on the land, and wind power now provides more than 30% of the UK's electricity. How good is that? We like clean energy and less dependence on, well, whatever country is supplying our gas at the moment, and less dependence on fossil fuels, things like coal, oil, and gas, all those bad things that create more CO2. But something is holding us back from being able to use more wind energy. That's in the UK, but it's probably the same in your country too. What is it? Let's find out more today. I'm Hilary, and this is a Learn Through Listening podcast. We're all about helping you to learn English through listening with interesting topics, things that make you think, things that maybe make you a bit cross sometimes. They do me. And I'll definitely give you words and phrases that you'll actually use. Real English, so you can enter the conversation about green energy in English. Don't forget to listen a few times to let the new words sink in. So while in the US, Donald Trump is doing his best to shut down green energy projects, in the UK and the rest of Europe, we want to make more use of wind energy, not less. What is holding us back? Well, the wind is free, but the infrastructure that surrounds wind energy is not. That word infrastructure, infra, I-N-F-R-A, and structure, S-T-R-U-C-T-U-R-E, infrastructure is a great word. It means the structures around something, the physical things which help a system to work. And here we're talking about all the things which are needed to store and transport electricity around. You could also talk about infrastructure in the context of transport. You might mean roads and bridges, roundabouts and motorways. They're all infrastructure. But for wind energy, we mean wires or cables, pylons, and substations. They're the little junction boxes that distribute the electricity. A pylon, P-Y-L-O-N, is a huge metal structure which supports overhead electrical wires or cables. You can see pylons all over the countryside. In the UK, we have a particular design, but they look different in different countries. The ones in France make me smile. They look like cats. And apparently they're called pilon chat or cat pylon. In the US and other English-speaking parts of the world, pylons are also called transmission towers. What do we call a group of wind turbines? Well, you might call it a wind farm. We are farming the wind, in other words. And the silly situation is that currently we pay a lot of money to wind farms in the UK so that they'll switch off their turbines or stop generating electricity. We pay them to switch off? That sounds mad, doesn't it? It's like owning a bakery and paying the bakers to stop baking, even when people are hungry. So why do we do that? Well, apparently it's our national grid. The national grid is the network of wires and cables and pylons and substations that carry electricity around the UK. And the problem is it's full, congested. Imagine a motorway full of cars, absolutely jammed. No one can go anywhere and the system doesn't work. Sometimes you don't have to imagine that in the UK. It's the reality, I'm afraid. And with our electricity, it's the grid, G-R-I-D. The national grid is at capacity. It's full, in other words. And a grid with too much electricity becomes unstable, so you have to switch the wind farms off. And the wind farms are paid by the government to do this, to turn off. Apparently, this costs billions of pounds every year. How crazy is that? The solution on paper is simple. We need more infrastructure, more cables, more pylons, more substations. From windy Scotland and the North Sea, where a lot of wind energy is generated, we need to carry it down to London and to the other big cities where it's needed. And National Grid in the UK have announced a big update called the Great Grid Upgrade. This is 17 major projects costing £19 billion. And it's the biggest change to our electricity infrastructure since the 1960s. But, and there's a big but, the electricity pylons and the wires have to go somewhere. And that somewhere is often the British countryside, the parts we see as beautiful and peaceful and as ours. The British countryside really is a beautiful thing. So people get angry about pylons spoiling the view. We have an acronym in English. An acronym is a set of letters like DNA that stand for something. And the acronym I'm thinking about here is NIMBY. You talk about a person being a NIMBY, NIMBY. That stands for Not in My Backyard, referring to the fact that while most of us support green energy, none of us would want a new electricity pylon in our backyard or our back garden, as we're more likely to say in UK English. And this reflects people's opinions. 70% of people in a recent British social attitude survey supported building more onshore wind farms. So that's wind turbines on land. But when the same people were asked about making it easier to build pylons that carry that wind power, support dropped to 45%. We don't like electricity pylons. People can feel that pylons spoil the landscape, spoil their view. And for people in towns and villages who face new enormous electricity pylons marching across their hills and their land, it's a big problem. There's a plan in Wales at the moment to build new pylons across the land in Carmarthenshire and Powys, beautiful rural areas. But farmers there have ended up in court for refusing to let surveys happen on their land. These are family farms. Often they've been farmed for generations, hundreds of years. And suddenly you're telling them there'll be a 50-metre pylon in your view. In fact, there'll be 10. Everyone says, not in my backyard. There's a danger of all of us becoming NIMBYs. By the way, if you'd like more English content to practice with, more episodes, more vocabulary, more fascinating topics, we do have a subscription service. 8 extra episodes, 2 per week, completely ad-free. And if you'd like a more structured course, Adept English has 2 brilliant ones for you. The most common 500 words course will ensure that you've got all the basic vocabulary covered. You may be surprised by what gaps you have. Our other popular course is Activate Your Listening. That course prepares you for listening, understanding, and speaking in English conversation. So the NIMBYs and the farmers and the local people would like the cables to be put underground instead. Sounds reasonable, doesn't it? Except that underground cables cost between 4 and 11 times more money than using overhead cables and pylons. That's not a small difference, is it? In Wales, they're saying that full undergrounding of the cables would mean hundreds of millions of pounds additional cost. So it's not going to happen. People want green energy, they want energy independence, lower bills, all of that, but they don't want the infrastructure in their backyard. One area of the UK where this infrastructure was proposed, put forward as an idea, the Norwich-Tilbury line. That's in the east of England. When they asked for feedback, they got 20,000 lots of feedback from people. Complaints, if you like, about the plan. But they managed to arrive at a compromise, the middle ground. There will now be an underground section of cables that goes through an area of outstanding natural beauty. It's called Dedham Vale, and nobody wanted to spoil that bit of the countryside. So it can work with compromise through negotiation. The UK government has proposed that people living near the new electricity pylons could receive £2,500 off their energy bills over the next 10 years. It's a sweetener, something sweet to make a difficult situation easier to accept. But for most people, this won't be enough. There's the worry, of course, that electricity pylons and overhead cables cause illness in humans. It's not been proved yet, but then these things are hard to prove, so it may be a matter of time. There's a worry about cancer and about the effect on hormones in people living near pylons. What I must say, when I go for a walk near our house, I notice that the land where the pylons carry electricity cables overhead, well, nothing much grows on there. It's as though the plants don't like it. So I do understand that worry. I wouldn't like an electricity pylon to be put up in my garden or overhead wires going over the top of my house. But where it's about pylons spoiling the view, unless it is an area of outstanding natural beauty, an AONB, maybe we just have to get used to those pylons. I used to think that wind turbines were really ugly, but I've trained my eye just to accept them as part of the landscape. Maybe we have to do that with the new electricity pylons. Demand for electricity is only going to go up. It's estimated it'll rise by 50% by the year 2035. It seems we may all be driving electric cars and heating our homes with heat pumps by then. And then there's all those AI data centers. Well, I rather hope they don't get built. But we can't escape the fact that if we don't upgrade the grid, we're going to be in trouble. A report on the website Electric Insights suggests we should learn from the Victorians. They say the Victorians built big with railways and sewer systems that caused big disruption at the time, but which infrastructure benefited the UK for over a century. The word sewer, S-E-W-E-R, means all those pipes underground that take away our wastewater. And the UK's Victorian sewer system is a beautiful thing. Most of it still operating today. So let's learn from the Victorians, and rather than continuing to pay lots of money to wind farms so that they can turn off their turbines, let's build a grid which is going to support us for decades to come. I bet you're having some of these problems in your country too. It won't just be the UK. Anyway, the next time you're driving through the countryside and you see lots of pylons, maybe you'll look at them a bit differently. I know I will. Thank you so much for listening.